Yeah, you ready?
Oh, hey, I wasn't ready.
Sorry.
I forgot. I was going to do something else, but that's okay. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Happy Father's Day. Welcome to our broadcast of Sunday Studio. We're live here. I'm Karen Margulis, and I'm excited to be back in the studio to share with you. I've had a very busy spring. I had a couple of workshops, and of course our daughter got married in May. And then I just got back from the IAPS convention in Albuquerque. That's the International Association of Pastel Societies. And that's the umbrella organization for all pastel societies around the world. So people from around the world were there. It's a fantastic event every other year. So next one's 2019. It'll also be in Albuquerque. So save your money. It's well worth it. And I have over here a haul. So I did indulge in the candy store, we call it. That's the trade show, and got some of the new products that I'm going to share with you in another video. I'm going to do what I call a haul video, and I'll be doing that I'm going to try to do it this week sometime. But I want to share with you something else today, something that I've been having fun experimenting with. And if you've been following my blog, you may have seen what I've been working on, a different underpainting technique for me, new to me, not new to everyone, of course, but I never really thought that it was an option until I was reading one of these older pastel journals, and that's another story I'm going to share with you. But I was going through, this one's from 2002, and an artist named Shelley Kiefer did underpaintings using Caran d'Ache. They call Neocolor 2 crayons, but they're actually, I did some research, and what they are, they're really water-soluble oil pastels. They look like crayons, they feel like crayons, they're waxy, but they dissolve in water. And they make a fantastic underpainting because they're opaque. So the colors are amazing, they're intense, they're bright, they're rich. And so it's been so much fun playing with them. This is an underpainting that I did. I wet it with water, and I'm going to do another one for you. You can see that because it's waxy, it resists in some areas, and so it kind of makes a really interesting underpainting. Again, really bold. And a wonderful thing about this is you can do it on dark paper. So unlike watercolor, which kind of disappears when you do it on dark paper, you can't see the underpainting. I did this painting, but this is black paper, and I used white under the petals. So I actually used, well, I didn't have white. I used a very, very pale color of the Neocolor. I have a very sad, limited selection. These were given to me by a friend to use in my sketchbook. So I have to be shopping because we have to add to the We definitely have to add to the collection here because I'm really loving this process. This is a painting I did the other day. If you go on my blog, you can see the underpainting. And by the way, I wanted to mention my blog is KarenMargulis.com. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook and you've not been to my blog, I invite you to go visit because I post something just about every day. So a new painting, a new process, whatever it is that I'm discovering, I share with you. Oh no, someone's here. We have to bring my daughter to the airport today, so we were trying to finish the video before she got here, but it sounds like they're a little bit early. But that's okay, we'll go forward. I'm going to put this aside for now, and I'm going to just show you how this works, and then I'm going to actually paint on this one since it's already dry. So really all you have to do for this is color like crayon. You don't have to, I'll just do a little bit here, you don't have to have it in completely solid, for example. So I've just kind of scrabbled a little bit with the color just to add some color in there. As far as the color choices, I decided that I'm going to do this meadow I did yesterday, so I'm going to do it again just to show you the steps. Now, I decided that since it's a bright sunny day, I wanted some warmth. So yesterday I did what I called a hot underpainting. I used these bold, warm, intense colors. So I'm going to do the same thing here just to show you what it's like. Got a little paper towel and a little water. I'm sure you can use alcohol with it. I haven't done that, but the water, it works fine, and it doesn't really take that long to dry. I'm working on UArt paper. I think it's maybe 400 grit. I don't have it mounted to a board. It's just simply taped to this piece of foam core. And by the way, I did this one yesterday, and you can see it didn't buckle or wave or anything like that, and it's not mounted. It's just taped. So it worked just fine. I'm going to start with the lighter colors first, and I'm using a really, really crappy bristle brush. You can see this is terrible. But, you know, when you're using sanded paper, it's going to eat up your good brushes, so you don't want to really use your good brushes. And for me, I like these stiffer brushes because it allows me to move the underpainting color around a little bit better. I like to scrub it in. So I'm going to just kind of work on this background stuff and wet it down. And if it starts to drip, I really don't mind. In fact, I really enjoy what happens when things drip and start to mingle and mix with the other colors. And by the way, with these Neo Color 2, we'll call them just the crayons, you can mix colors, so you can layer them and blend them together. If you want to create different colors or new colors or complex mixes. I put some blue and purple down here, which is going to be the shadow area. So I'll be putting the green and the leaves on top. So this is just going to be the shadow area. I want it to be nice and dark and rich. Now I'm going to come and do the petals. And like I say, I don't care if it's perfect, if it gets mixed in. This is just the underpainting, or the first layer. And the idea is I just want to cover this whole piece of paper. You can see already how the purple's dripping into the blue, and it's kind of making it fun. What do I have left here? I have some of these purple things, and I'm going to go back into this wet underpainting with the crayon, the Neo Color, and I'm also going to dab a little bit at the bottom because I've got a little bit too much water, and it's just dripping down and making a little bit of a mess. So you can come back in and take these. Let's add some more to the purple, and go back over. Let's add another one up here. And again, if you want to wet them some more, if you just want to leave them so that you kind of have a little bit of a waxy resist, which might be interesting when you put the pastel on top. So I'm always looking to try some things that might add a little bit of interest. Look at what's happening here where the yellow is dripping down into the green. That's kind of cool, like that. I like that. So that's the underpainting stage. So really you just color with crayon and wet it. And look at how it just explodes into this wonderful, rich, vibrant color. So I'm going to move this aside and pull out my pastels. And I'm going to use the same palette that I used. This is the photo. Can you see that? Okay. This is the photo that I'm going to use. I'm going to be painting on this one. By the way, this photo was taken in Lurie Gardens next to the Chicago Art Institute, and they have a prairie garden, and I try to get there every season and take pictures because I would really like to do a series of that garden, but this is summertime, so I'm not worried that there's buildings and things in the background. I want to just focus on this one little area right in here. So I'm going to start by looking at the painting and seeing if there's anything that I want to preserve in the underpainting part, that is. And I really just want these colors to be underneath to kind of infuse this with a sunshine. So I'm using these bright sunny colors, and I'm really going to put green on top. So I think I'm going to start down here in the dark area, and I think I'm going to just go with a dark green. I'm going to clean these off because when I used them they got dirty. I'm going to just add a little bit of dark green. What is this? A dark blue-green. This is in the shadowed area. And I'm using a very light touch, or at least I'm trying to, because I really want to allow some of the colors from the underpainting to peek through. So I don't want to cover up all the blue and purple and pink that there. So I think I'm going to stop at that point. And then as I come up towards the light, I'm using a little bit of a lighter green, still like a middle dark value green. And I'm not, notice when I'm doing this flowers, the wildflowers, I'm not painting any leaves or flowers or stems or anything yet. It's all big shapes at this point. So I'm trying to keep it simple, keep it light, and keep it not fussy. I don't want it to be too fussy or too detailed yet. Notice I'm getting lighter as I come up towards where the sun is. And you can see now where the yellow is peeking through. That yellow from the underpainting is peeking through, and hopefully it's creating a feeling of sunlight. Oh, I have another set that I wanted to use. This set here, by the way, this is a mix of Terry Ludwig and a couple of Diane Townsend soft form. But these are Diane Townsend soft forms. I got a set of green. What does she call it? Mood for Green set. And I'm just keeping them separate just because I have plenty of other greens everywhere else. And it's fun to say, oh, I'm going to just use some of these greens. So I just keep them separate. So I'll just play with some of these greens in here. I like this nice yellow green. So if I want it, look at that. And you can hear it. It's got pumice in it, so you can hear the scratchiness. So I like these. They work really nicely with the Terry Ludwigs, which are my favorites. So these are my top two.
Everything's your favorite.
What?
They're all your favorite.
No, they're all my favorite. No, they're not all my. They have different uses. Let's put it that way. So these are fun. What else do I have? So now I've got the green in place. So it's just kind of this now. You can see the green. I really actually need to do a little bit more. Let's get this one in here. Now I can focus on. Let's put in the cone flowers at this point. So I'm going to start with the centers, and I'm going to start with the darkest color that I see in those centers. So I'm going to use a dark purple here. So wherever I see, now there's some of them are hidden, right? Some of them are going to be like lost in the tangle. So I can put a few marks in there, and then they're going to get covered up. There's also some really cool little, I don't know what they are, little seed pod thingies. I don't know. I'm not botanist, right? Thank you. So, and actually, it's probably better that way, because then when I paint these things, I don't really have to know their botanical name. I am going to use, instead of calling them what they are, I'm going to just calling them how I see them, or describe them using art words. So I can say, oh, these little dark value kind of things, or these things that are growing sideways, or these fluffy things. And I think it's better that way than if I give it a name, because as soon as I give it a name, I'm going to try to paint the thing and not really paint what it is or what it looks like. Let's see. So then I look at it and I say, well, it kind of gets a little bit yellow-orange on top, so I'll put some of that in on some of these as well. And then I might not have the right color over in this yet. When I was painting the painting yesterday, I was over at my other easel where I had my big set, and then I had everything at my disposal. So this is one of those instances where I'm not really having the right orangey color. Let me see if I can go into the harder pastels I have here. That's a little bit better. Add a little bit of that orangey color. And down in here. Oh, there's one hidden right in here. Let's hide him down in here. Now, once I have the centers pretty much done, I'm going to go ahead and do the petals. And I'm going to start with the darker color that I see in the petal. And then I'll lighten it up. And I'm not worried about it looking just like the photo, right? The photo is just kind of to give me inspiration, to give me a direction. So I start with the darker color, and then I'm going to gradually turn on the light so that I'm going to keep getting lighter. So there's a middle value, kind of red-violet. And I'm just going over these darker ones, and notice I'm not going I'm not trying to cover it all up. I'm only trying, here's this guy that was hidden. I want to leave some of that dark in place. And I'm also starting to think about which ones are going to have the most focus or the most detail. They can't all be having a lot of detail, or else none of them would be the star. So as I do this, I'm starting to try to feel my way around and decide which guys are going to be the star, and which ones are going to have more detail, and which ones are going to be just left to your imagination. And most likely these in this area are going to have the most detail. Now I'm going to get a little bit lighter, and I'm doing this in baby steps, right? So you notice I'm not jumping right into the lightest pink that I have, or the lightest purple, but I started with the dark, and I'm building on top of that dark.
What color was the dark?
It was like a dark burgundy, like a wine color, I would say. Oops. These ones that are going to get hidden because I'm going to put more foliage over here. And then they get even lighter. And I'm not going to put the light on every single one, right? Because this is what's going to make them stand out and be these guys are the stars in here. So and also not every petal has to have a high level of detail. These guys are hidden, so I'm not going to worry about them so much. I have another one. That one was pretty light, so I have one that's in between. I'm going to go ahead and put in there. Now I'm going to do something else to the petals in just a minute, but I have to do a little bit more. I don't want to get hyper focused on these petals and then totally forget about the rest of the painting, right? That happens sometimes. You get like so involved in making the one thing just right, and then you neglect everything else. And a lot of times these are more done than you think once you get going with everything else. So now what I'm going to do is add some of these taller purple things. I should look it up, right? I have this great book. What did I do with it? I think I moved it. So I have quite a few books on wildflowers. And I suppose I should do a little bit better research and know the names for everything. But that takes time, right? And no, this is what I'm doing with my time. Alright, so I got one layer of purple. Let's add a little bit of darker to it. I could have started with the darker, but I don't want a whole lot of this dark purple in here. So I started with the middle value of purple. And then, did I use this one? Yeah, I did. And I'm going to use different marks. Notice also, as I'm doing these flowers, and the whole painting, I'm changing the marks that I use. So I initially started with using the side of the pastel for the marks. Now I'm using, and I'm making kind of chunky marks, right? Or pretty soon I'll be making some linear marks. So I'm changing the type of marks to help express or describe what it is that I'm painting. These centers have some green in it, so I'm going to throw a little green in there. I might have to go make a detour over to my box in just a minute. Now I've got all these things in place. Let's add some more of the foliage. So we've got some of these leaves. So I'm using the side of the pastel to create some of the different leaf shapes that are coming in and growing at all different angles. This is hard for me to talk when I do this, because when I get to this stage, I'm totally what you say,
In the zone.
what?
In the zone.
In the zone? You try, that's the goal, right, is to get into the zone. And it's hard to get into the zone when you're trying to explain what you're doing, when what you're doing is just coming to you and not really,
Explanation.
no, it's hard to explain. But if I had to explain it, what I'm trying to do here is create some depth in this wild tangle of stuff. And to create depth, I started with the darkest color, and now I'm adding different shapes on top of that dark that are a little bit lighter. And these different shapes help you see through into this tangled mess. That's what I'm trying to do. So if I had to explain what I'm doing, that's what I'm working on. Notice the flowers, the main flowers, the cone flowers, don't have any stems yet, so they're kind of just floating in space or floating on the grass. And we'll have to fix that in just a minute. I'm gonna just reinforce a little bit more of this dark area around my stars so that they can come out a little bit more. You know that the trick, if you want something to look lighter and you've used the lightest color, then you have to go in with something darker around it, and then that'll help. There's also some cool yellow flowers kind of up here now. The underpainting suggests them a little bit, but I'm going to just put in a few more little yellow bits and pieces. Now let's see. Now I'm going to take out, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start the finishing touches. There's one thing that I need to do, and that is to take my very little teeny tiny piece of Terry Ludwig eggplant. I believe this is all I have left. And
Wait, come back.
You see it?
That's it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, he sold out at the IAPS, the booth, I guess, of that color, of the eggplant color, and before I got over there. So I'm sure I have one somewhere in some box, but I do need to. There's Heidi. I don't know why she didn't come down to visit with us today. Let's see where I'm putting the eggplant is just at the base of those flowers so that they'll pop out a little bit. I don't use that color everywhere. I really want it to, be special. And if I used it everywhere, then it wouldn't be special. I'm going to add a little bit more orange stuff and then to these centers, and I'm going to make little linear marks. Now, what I'm working with right now is what I call my grass box. Now, my grass box is just a collection of harder pastels. So you have some new pastels and some Rembrandts, and these will allow me to make some of those more detailed linear type marks. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some stems, and I gotta be careful that they're not going to be like balloons. So I want to use broken lines. Heidi. She's getting a carrot. She shouldn't get a carrot when she barks. That's bad manners. Let's see. So I have a variety of these green Rembrandts, and I'm using them to create some of these stems and some of these, and it's just another layer of, what is this one? This is a dark blue. I'm going to go along the edge of that one so we can see it a little bit more. And it's just a matter of taking these colors and trying to create this tangle of green stuff. This is a summer scene, so everything is very, very green. So I'm just simply using these harder pastels to make some of the green. This is a what I call an artificial green. It's very, very well, artificial looking. Did you see this is the grass box. It's a mess. But it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. So now I'm going to go in with, I've got a, let's see, a harder pink. I'm going to go in. Now I'm going to work on the petals a little bit more. Remember I said I had some of these are my stars? So I'm going to actually come in and do some linear marks just to pull them out from the background. And the hard pastels go over these nice soft ones. Oops. And sometimes I press so hard that they break. And that's alright. Because I'm just going to use the pieces. And I've got a pale, what is this one? A pale pink. So I'm going to go along the bottom edges and then create some of the lines on the petals. And then I have another trick to create detail in the flowers. And that's just with a push pin. This is a, can you see it? That's a, it's a stainless steel. That's the word I was looking for. Stainless steel push pin. And because I have enough layers of pastel on here, I'm actually just using it to scrape away some of the pastel to create some of those lines in the flowers. So we have some of the little delicate veins in the petals, and all I'm doing is like scratch art. And it really only works if you've built up the pastel thick enough so that you're going and revealing the darker layers underneath. I can do the same thing in the centers if I want to create that hairy stuff that's in the center of those flowers. We'll just do a few little bits and pieces right in here. Again, it has to be thick enough or it won't show up. Now, I'm at the point in this painting where I get to every time I do a demo where you can't really know if it's done until you step back and give it some time. You know, step away from it and then look at it with fresh eyes and see if, you know, there's something that you need to add or more likely something that you need to remove. If you keep working on it and you're not really paying attention and you're just making marks, well, chances are you're going to overwork it. And so this is the point where I will stop so that I can look at it, and I will post the finished painting on my blog and on Facebook, and then I'm going to put this demo together and put it on my YouTube channel so you can catch it on YouTube. But I was saying about my blog, if you have not been to my blog yet, it's KarenMargulis.com. If you get it by email subscription, then I encourage you to go just type it in and visit it without getting it by email. Like, go visit the blog, because you'll see things that you don't get in the email. So there's a search box, for example. So if you have a question about anything pastel related, put it in the search box, and if I've written about it, you'll be able to find that article. So you know, it's great. I'm happy that you get it by email, but you are missing out on some of the other things. So check it out, KarenMargulis.com. I'll see what else I need to do to this one. I'm going to also work on this one, and I will post them. But I want to thank you today for...
You can answer questions.
Of course, I want to answer questions, so if you write them in the comments, I'll get to them as soon as I can and answer your questions. But I want to thank you for joining in today, and see you next time. And that's Jenny. Jenny says, thanks for coming.